Welcome to Insync the Female Game. I am Michelle Galbraith. Over the next 30 minutes we're going to delve into the curious conversation of female health, natural methods of keeping our bodies and mind healthy, vibrant and energised. Well, morning Barbara, thank you so much for joining us this morning to have a little chat with us about hypnotherapy in the context of how it can assist with women's health.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Pleasure. So, Barbara, let's just start off with how you became interested in hypnotherapy. What's your background?
Well, actually, it's a little bit by accident, to be honest with you. I spent many years feeling very angry and holding anxiety. And I think in our lives, most of us get to a point where we know that we've got to do something. It's so painful to hold on to this. And I was on medication for many years. And I just felt that it wasn't right. There must be something better than a pill that you take. And every time I tried to come off the tablets, the anxiety returned and the anger returned, and it affected my life and those that I loved. So I started to explore ways that I could support myself, and I thought the best way to do that was get an understanding of how we do our problems, how our mind works. So I signed up for a diploma in counselling and psychotherapy, which sounded absolutely amazing. But the first year was a hypnotherapy module, and I didn't want to do hypnotherapy because surely that was for stage and entertainment. So I asked the college if I could miss that and come straight in the second year, and they told me I couldn't, I had to do it. So I weighed up my options and I thought, well, do you know what, it's probably a tool that counsellors and psychotherapists use, so I will go along with it. Terribly sceptical, probably as most of the Western population are, and I started this course, and it was monthly at the weekends, and it was for the year. And on weekend 5, I was driving home from college, and all these thoughts were popping into my head as I was driving. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was driving home about 4 o'clock, and the thoughts popped into my head. I'm absolutely fantastic. I'm the best in the class. Mm-hmm. I'm brilliant at what I do. And I'm thinking, whoa, where did all this come from? Mm-hmm. Well, we'd done a whole weekend of working with confidence and using hypnotherapy. Mm-hmm. And you get to learn the theory, and then you get to practice on your colleagues. And obviously the practice had actually firmly embedded itself into my subconscious, and I felt very confident. And from that day on, I was really hooked. However, that module wasn't enough for me. I wanted to know the science behind it, the approaches behind it, why it works, how it works, and why, if it works, don't we hypnotise the whole world and make everything perfect?
Absolutely.
And so I needed to take a different path. So I dipped out of I finished that year, and I dipped out of the counselling and psychotherapy second year because I found a marvellous model which uses hypnotherapy but uses many, many other psychological approaches and insights with it, called Quest Cognitive Hypnotherapy. And I learned the science behind it, and for me that's what made all the difference. Okay. And learned why we can't fix the whole world with just one or two positive suggestions. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got into it.
Fantastic. Well, that's really exciting, and it leads right into the perfect next question with regard to Western scientific references to hypnotherapy. What is the background of hypnotherapy? What is it? How does it work? What is it doing to your brain? And, do we need to be scared?
Well, nobody needs to be scared, because one of the first things everyone needs to know about hypnotherapy is that you must be wanting to make those changes yourself. So there will be something in it for you if you make a change. So even with stage hypnosis, those people that really do not want to run around the stage sounding like a chicken, it won't work for them. So we're always in control. It's that usually when you use hypnosis with hypnotherapy, the people that come to see me want to make those changes, and most of them are ready to do so. So therefore it will become more effective because it's their model of the world, they're going to embrace it, and they're going to make the changes. If people don't want to make the changes, Sometimes I can help them because there's reasons why secondary gains and things like something they're holding on to, and the fear of change is significant for them, and I can help them with that. Yeah. But actually, if I want to put you on the stage and make you cluck like a chicken, it's something you really don't want to do. Impossible. Yeah. So no need to fear that approach at all.
Great. So what does hypnotherapy? How does hypnotherapy work? What is going on when you are being Are you hypnotising, or is it hypnotherapy? Is it?
Okay.
Are they one and the same?
This is a really challenging question to answer in the short time that we have. But basically, in a nutshell, we are very susceptible to suggestions. Our mind is open to suggestions, particularly from powers of influence such as people that we look up to, GPs, politicians, those people that we put in a place of authority in our culture. So when a teacher says to a child, this is what you do and this is how it's happened, you're going to pick that up as a belief and you're going to run with it. So that would be your power of suggestion. So typically, hypnosis uses that power, and many other things, but that power of suggestion there. I think it was explained about a century ago by someone saying that if there was a thought that you held that you believed could be true, then you are likely to take that suggestion on as true, and therefore you will make it happen. Yes. You know, and I think Henry Ford's also quoted the most famous quote, isn't he? He says, whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. So it's about the beliefs that you hold. Yeah. So some of the work that I do is working out what beliefs that you're holding at a subconscious level.
And do you believe them to be true?
Yes. And unfortunately for us, as we grow up through life, we do form beliefs about ourselves and how we fit in the world. And actually, they're only perceptions, they're not true, but we believe them to be true. So if somebody grows up feeling lack of self-confidence, for argument's sake, you know, because of situations about themselves, so they might say, well, I'm a failure. Deep down inside, I believe I'm a failure. I don't recognise it consciously, but that won't let me do anything. It holds me back because I don't think I can do it. So that's a belief held. So yes, the formula of it is about those core beliefs. Okay. Hypnosis state. Well, it used to be centuries ago that hypnosis was believed you had to use it to get you to a very, very deep state. So you had to go very, very, almost in a very deep sleep. Yeah. But actually, over the centuries, we've proved that that's not true at all. And light hypnosis is the best used in a hypnotherapy setting because you still need to communicate with the client. And if the client is very, very relaxed, they slur. You can't hear what they're saying. Right. So we need light hypnosis. So they're in a different trance state. And one of the most modern concepts of trance state is Stephen Walensky writes that every state that we hold is a trance state. Right. You and I are sitting in this room. Yeah. So that trance state is you and me talking in this room, trance state. Yeah. Earlier on, you were driving here. You were in driving trance state. Yeah. I was watching television last night, so I would have been in watching television trance state. So you don't need to go deep. But one of the things that is very important is that we do need the client to be able to relax. Yes. Now, you don't have to go to sleep to relax, but you do need your mind and body to feel safe. And the way that your mind knows that you're safe is that your muscles aren't tense. Yes. And your mind is not producing any signals that you're not safe, and then you're not producing the cortisol and the stress hormone adrenaline. Yeah. So we do like people just to get into a relaxed state, which then gives them access to the memories that they need and the thoughts that they need.
And the creativity. Yes. So they're actually changing their brain waves.
They are.
Yes.
They are, yes.
So I think, do we normally operate on a beta, alpha beta day to day, like here right now it's an alpha beta,
that's right.
which takes a lot of energy for the brain to be in that state. And then the higher brain waves are theta and delta, which would be conducive to us being able to tap into our creativity. Yeah.
So we don't want the deepest one. We want the one, you know, when you go to bed at night and you put your head on the pillow and you haven't quite gone to sleep, but you can feel yourself going.
Yeah.
I think that's delta waves.
Yeah, it'd be delta waves.
And that's what we need.
Yeah.
Because your conscious mind acts as a filter.
Yes. That's your rest and digest state from an anatomy and physiology perspective. That's when your parasympathetic system is having a voice over your sympathetic, which is all about get up and go.
Yes, indeed.
Beautiful. Okay, so very much steeped in science, references to Einstein and lots of other eminent
absolutely loads. Absolutely loads. And there's lots of research from modern facilities around the world. Israeli scientists and professors do lots of research, Swedish ones. Harvard, which we all know the name Harvard, has done a lot of research into the mind and body connection and how you can use your mind to change your body, literally, physically change it, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and scientists are using elite athletes with visualizations.
Absolutely.
And doing some empirical studies of, you visualize your race and you actually do it.
Yes.
And there's very little difference between the two groups, which is fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So, what do you enjoy most about using hypnotherapy with your customers?
Well, the hypnotherapy is just one part of the complete model that we bring in. But I think, what do I enjoy the most? I like working with them. When they're ready to work with me, the results are absolutely astounding. And the model that I work within, the Quest Cognitive Hypnotherapy model, allows us to blend different techniques. So we might be using an NLP technique, and the client might be in a age regressive state and thinking back and cannot produce the feeling that they want to produce. So I might be asking, you just mentioned sports people, so I might be asking a sports person who wants to improve their performance, can you go back to a time when you performed the very best that you ever did? Because we want to capture that and use that. And they may go back, but they might not get it strong enough. They might only say, well, I can, but I'm only feeling it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. I'm only feeling it as a 6. So we jump straight to an NLP technique which utilises some modalities to increase that feeling up to a 10. And as we do that, then we can carry on with the hypnotherapy part, which is the power of positive suggestion, positive visualisation, getting them to progress, see how they're going to perform. So yes, and it's amazing. When the clients come out of the sessions, they really have felt a change everywhere. Not just in the way that they're thinking and the emotions they're feeling, but they notice it in a physical sense. The way they're walking, the way they hold their body.
They've come back into the here and now.
They've brought it all with them.
And they're then more aware of their own physical and mental feelings. Because it's when you're in a stress state, it's a very stressed state, we just disassociate with our emotions.
We're straight into protection, waiting for the saber-toothed tiger.
Sure. And certain stress states will create a complete numbness
Absolutely.
of the brain as well.
Yeah, it has to, doesn't it? The fight or flight response just drills down to what is the fear right now, where's the risk. You don't want to start be thinking about other stuff, and that's what that does for us. It cuts everything out.
It's fascinating. So we'll come back to that a little bit in a minute, because we're going to talk about female hormones. So that's really, really relevant. So if you were talking to an 8-year-old about hypnotherapy, Barbara, what do you do? How would you explain hypnotherapy to an 8-year-old?
I probably would say it quite simply as a client will come to me because they want help and they want to do this. And what I will say to the client is, how do you want to feel? And the client will tell me. And I would say to the client, how do you want to behave? And the client will tell me. And I would say to the client, how do you want to think? And the client will tell me. And I will ask the client to sit very comfortably in the chair, close their eyes, and begin to breathe steadily. And do nothing other than just listen to my voice. And as they do that, I will make suggestions in the way that our brain computes those suggestions, and it will go into their mind, and they will begin to adopt what I'm saying, and they'll take it as true. And that will help the client to think, feel and behave the way that they wanted to in the first place when they first asked me. They don't go to sleep, they just relax with their eyes closed, and when they wake up they already start to begin to feel better. And then over the process of a week or two, the mind will attach those thoughts to all the things that have ever happened to them and start to reframe all those for them.
Yeah, because the brain's got to renew, grow new neural pathways, essentially.
Yes,
Take the old superhighways away and grow new neural pathways.
Yeah, and also it's really important for the client to know that when they've had a significant event when they were smaller, and they've attached an emotion to that event, the neuroplasticity of the brain allows us to reframe that emotion.
Yes.
So it's really powerful, because by doing that, changing that one event, all the events that have ever been connected to that event also change as well. So it's really...
and it just frees you up completely. Complete freedom.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So people's energy levels must be very different when they leave after having had a few sessions.
Yes, usually. Sometimes, if it's very traumatic for them, they will feel a sense of lightness, but also they would have left the negative emotion of sadness or fear, and they would feel a lot lighter, but they will be having a significant shift. They might not be skipping out of here. They might be just walking out, noticing the differences. But over the period of a week or so, as the mind just connects to all the other events that it needs to change, that's when they start to notice, looking back over the day, before when that happened, I would have said this, but now I'm doing this.
Yes, and it creates a confidence and a validation and an improved self-worth.
It does, because then you can start to begin to believe your new beliefs. And as our mind says, oh my goodness, that's happened, so that must be true.
Yes.
So now I know it's true.
Because I
now
know for myself. Yes, not because someone told me it was true when I was 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. So we really are into the genre of being at cause in our own life.
Definitely.
And being having that ultimate control and responsibility.
Yes. Once you know how, it's easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well now let's move on to the top 5 health benefits of using hypnotherapy for female health. And we touched on a little bit indirectly on hormones and how the hormones change when we're accessing our feeling centres. So what would you say is a positive thing of using hypnotherapy for the female hormones?
Well, I think the trouble with us ladies, we often adopt a stance of we're victim to our bodies. And I think what we need to do is realise actually they're our bodies and it's our mind, and we don't have to feel like this every month. We don't have to feel like this just because we're coming to the end of our reproductive years. We don't have to feel and behave like that. And I think we're so used to being a victim to, it's quite common for men in particular to make a joke about the wife being moody.
Yeah.
Is it your time of the month? I'm not saying that doesn't happen, because I know that the hormone levels that come surge through our bodies can affect the way that we think and feel. But I do know that we can use hypnotherapy and other models to rebalance that.
Yes.
Now, the mind and body connection also is so interlinked. You only have to think, and many people could probably associate with this, people that suffer with migraines, IBS and skin disorders, if they look back, when they get their flare-ups, if they look back over what's happened in their life over the past few weeks, they'll probably admit that it's been extremely stressful. Little Tommy's changed schools, he's not found it easy. They've had an argument with their sister and they're not talking to each other now. Husband's had a terrible time at work and she's now also thinking about the possible redundancies for her work. All that could be the stresses that she's trying to cope with in a very conscious sense and dealing with. Don't worry, this will happen, we can do it. Subconsciously the body is starting to do something very different.
Yes.
And producing the stress hormones, which then counteract out the hormones that we need to produce as females in order to achieve our monthly cycle appropriately.
Yes.
Producing too much of one hormone sets our balance off key. So there's several techniques that you can use, and hypnotherapy is one of them. It's about showing your subconscious mind how you want to be. and using maybe submodalities, using positive visualization, using the power of suggestion. And that includes controlling things like hot flushes and things like that. All those can be controlled by just using the power of your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also getting the balance of trying to work out why you're so stressed in your life. Yes. What is it that's digging at you?
Absolutely. And within that, you can then plan a bit for, right, well, this is my cycle. So I know at that particular point I'm X, Y, Z. So how can I plan for that and accommodate some time and some nurture for me?
Absolutely.
So that we don't have the spikes and troughs.
Yeah, finding out what really stresses you out. Find out how you can manage that.
Yeah.
Using something like hypnotherapy to change that perception.
Yeah.
Or actually, physically saying, well, on those weeks I'm just not going to do that. I don't have to do that on those weeks. It sends me deppy, so I'm not going to do it. Yes. So there's lots of different ways.
Well, women are also very good at multitasking. With the natural nurturers on the planet, we're able to spin lots of balls and accommodate lots of things. And I think women do actually have a tendency to put themselves last on the list as well, and can forget that their needs are just as important.
And I think, over the eons as well, where our role was nurturing and providing, we do too much of it nowadays. Our life was a lot simpler several thousands of years ago. We had some tasks, and we probably did have to multitask, but in our modern environment now, I was speaking to a young mum the other day. She says the government wants us to go back to work, but childcare is so expensive. So her belief is that she needs to go back to work. She's had a baby, but she thinks she should go back to work. It's part of our culture. That's what we're trying to be bred to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's another stress, isn't it? Yeah. Trying to bring up a family and hold down a job, whether it's part-time or not. So, I think our expectations on ourselves are too high in this day and age in this part of the world.
No, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. So female hormones, that linked in nicely with our mindset and our emotional centres. You touched on a little bit on hot flushes and migraines. So hypnotherapy is useful for being able to... What about the migraines which are really just lay you out flat? Would hypnotherapy assist?
Certainly, they certainly can, It's a very horrible thing to go through. People believe, unfortunately, this is part of their stress. They will actually believe this is the pattern that I do. And I'm not saying they believe it consciously, because consciously they seriously do not want this awful migraine or the IBS or anything else. But they believe it's part of it. They accept it deep down. And this is how I do my problem. When I get stressed, I have migraine. I know I'm stressed because I'm in bed in a dark room and I can't move my head.
Okay, so what about exercise? Hypnotherapy useful for helping women to overcome perhaps their shyness of doing exercise, or the other extreme of being addicted to exercise?
Yeah, sure. Well, there's a couple of aspects to that, I think. For a lot of people, it's the motivation to exercise, isn't it? So definitely, hypnotherapy can help people feel motivated and make them is the wrong word, encourage them, change their perception and make them feel as though they actually want to do this and see the benefits of it and begin to notice their body as they uptake on some exercise. People that do too much exercise, well, that's an addiction. And that's a different path. But it's the same principles, really. If there's an addiction, an addictive behaviour, it's very deep-seated. And it normally goes back to feelings of being disconnected from the world, isolation, lack of worthiness. So hypnotherapy would be used, but I would also tap first off into where that began, those thoughts began.
What the foundations of that is, yes. So essentially, hypnotherapy enables an individual to take control of their procrastination.
Yes, definitely.
So that would tap in also nicely with if there's a task which you're kind of not familiar with and you need to focus and get motivated to do that. Hypnotherapy to get yourself in the zone to just sit and do.
There could be a deep-seated fear of failing on that task, or deep-seated fear of not wanting to make changes because of whatever their mind is processing. So again, it can be used in order to give those shifts.
So do you see hypnotherapy as being a playful modality, tool to a playful way of being able to move yourself forwards with changes which in the past have eluded you?
I'm not sure if playful's the word I would use. One of the things I always say to my clients, particularly if they've not been to see me before, is be curious. Be really curious. Open your mind and be curious. So if something comes up, don't dismiss it. Don't attach the beliefs to it that you've already formed. Think outside the box. Be curious about okay, if that really is the case, what would that mean for me? How would this work for me? And the more curious you could be, the more inquisitive you can be, the further forward you can move and the quicker you can move forward.
Yeah. Okay. So eventually, because I'm quite a playful person and I like to sort of build in things being attractive, if you will, as another means of another motivation driver to do something and achieve something. I think eventually once a person understands a little bit more how her brain is working through doing hypnotherapy, then you can really get quite playful.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. Be curious about how you can use this. And recognise when you're being emotionally hijacked into your problem state, and what could I do to use this now to get me into my solution state. Yeah, definitely. It's a great tool, and if you learn how to use it, then you can use it to your advantage.
All the time.
Yes.
In any situation.
Yeah.
So what process do you use or follow, Barbara, to find your own answers of using hypnotherapy in your life?
Well, one of the key things for me is, as I tell everybody, is if you find yourself behaving, thinking and feeling in a way that feels uncomfortable, your subconscious is telling you something. So it's about recognising now that you're being emotionally hijacked, and it's about listening to your subconscious. It's not easy to do when you first start doing it, because we do suppress all our emotions, our negative ones, in order to try and live a happier life away from pain towards pleasure. But actually by suppressing them, we're just holding them in, and we carry on behaving in our same old patterns that we don't really want to. So stop and realise that you're being emotionally hijacked, that your subconscious is telling you you're feeling uncomfortable because you haven't dealt with something.
Yes.
And then I practice that quite a lot, and then I try and figure out what is it telling me? Why am I feeling uncomfortable? And as you backtrack through it all, you can usually find, well, actually, I felt he didn't mean it like that, but I took it as a slight against me. I felt there was no respect there. That nibbles at my self-worth. That's something I need to work on. Not his problem, it's my problem. So it's my problem, then I won't get into arguments with him in future because I don't have to defend myself. So I think, the key to it is recognise when you're being emotionally hijacked. Be curious about where that came from within, and then be prepared to work on it, to change it.
Yes.
And everything in life changes for the better then.
And you don't have to be doing what you've just described, immediately, in the moment, because emotions can be quite strong.
Yeah.
So just be kind and nurture yourself and let yourself feel what you need to feel.
Yeah.
Very often those strong feelings tend to be over and done with within sort of 10 minutes if people want a time frame. And, you do come out the other side. They don't last forever.
Everything's temporary, isn't it?
And then once you've got the space for your curiosity to come back, then you can...
What was all that about?
What was it all about? Yeah.
Was it
and
really
then you get
the
your
other
smile
person?
back.
Yes. The more vulnerable we allow ourselves to feel, the better life gets for us. And it sounds ridiculous, really. It does, doesn't it? It's all about protection.
Yes.
But we should be protecting ourselves if there's no need.
Yes.
So if somebody says something that rubs you up the wrong way, 9 times out of 10, it's about our perception of the way that we've received that message. And it dents at something with us. The very thing that I don't want to hold on to, my lack of self-confidence, my low self-esteem, it dents at that. And because it's done that, you want to be in protection. So normally you'll behave in ways that causes more problems.
Yeah.
You'll argue back.
Yeah.
You'll become abusive back. You'll say something painful to somebody.
But that's not who you are, ultimately.
It's not who you are.
We all want to be... We all are nice people, I think.
Yes, we all do things with positive intentions, even if
it
comes out in the wrong way. So if you do spend some time afterwards evaluating it, if you can be really authentic, really honest with yourself and say, actually, what he said was reasonably innocent. If I sat from a third party looking in, I could see it was reasonably innocent and it was me that took it.
Yeah.
And why did I take it that way?
Yeah.
And then work it backwards.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is probably one of the things that have saved me from being on medication from anxiety and stress all those years ago.
Absolutely.
Just
taking control of your whole internal world.
Yeah.
Because we are so influenced by our external world, just learning how to just be within ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
And how we want to be within that environment.
It takes some practice, and it also takes an understanding that you're probably fearful.
Yes.
But then embrace that as well.
And that's okay.
Yes. It is okay. It really is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. So just to finish off then, Barbara, do you think there are any challenges of using, traditional ways of intuitive knowing with the Western science connected with hypnotherapy? Do you think they're one and the same? Or there's slight distinctions of difference? Intuition, yeah. Do you think there are any challenges of using traditional ways of intuition, our deep gut knowing, with hypnotherapy?
Any challenges? No, I think the only challenges are our ignorance and our protection. Not wanting to be curious enough to bring in the learnings from somebody that's not sat at a GP's desk, for argument's sake. We've been so, I don't know what's the word, brainwash is too strong a word, but in our culture we've been brought up, definitely since the 40s, that if we have a problem, that we take our problem off to someone else to solve it. We don't stop and try and work out for ourselves intuitively, where's this coming from, what is wrong, how can I deal with this? And it's simpler to go off to the GP and say, I have a problem with this, which is why maybe depression and anxiety seem to be on the increase. People's mental health seems to be, being affected adversely more and more nowadays. Because we don't look after ourselves in that way anymore. We don't have the confidence, and maybe that's because we haven't been taught to. So I think one of the challenges is, how do therapists like myself help people realise that they have everything they need inside themselves to make their lives exactly how they want it to be? Yeah. Realising that nothing's really easy, but everything is possible.
Absolutely.
And that's the key, I think. That's the challenge.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, that we do have all the answers inside. It's just a matter of being able to find the right methods. Yeah. Release the fear, be curious. Yeah, absolutely. And start to believe in yourself. Wonderful. Beautiful. I've got the goosebumps. Barbara, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate all your insights and your wisdom, and to benefit specifically to women's health. You have been listening to 30 Minutes at Insync, the Female Game, with Michelle Galbraith. If you've enjoyed your time here, subscribe on the link below and go to our website insync.life for more links to information. What would it be like if you could walk into a room with your head up and your shoulders back, and you would know that you've chosen the life that you deserve, that you have treated yourself like a girl and still be powerful? And I'm going to show you how. See you on the other side at insync.life.